I'm here with Jacques Gordon, who for the past 28 years was global head of research and strategy at LaSalle, and he's my predecessor. Jacques wrote the preface to the ISA Outlook 2023 with a retrospective and a prospective on real estate investment business. Jacques, the first ISA was published in early 1995. Tell me about what the key findings would have been for that very first ISA.
The main thing in flipping through it today that I'm seeing, which has been a hallmark of our research over 30 years or 28 years, has been to pay attention not only to the fundamentals, which is obvious, but also to how the capital markets are pricing those fundamentals, and to realize that capital markets have cycles too. And that was a big theme back in 94, 95 when we put this one out.
So you said that real estate was coming off of a very tough time in the early 90s when you first put it out. What are the other sort of landmarks in the history of the maturation and institutionalization of real estate that you tracked over the years of the ISA?
Looking up the what we wrote, and I don't know if you can see it, but the title of chapter 2 is "What are the compelling reasons to invest in real estate today?" In other words, the asset class had just finished a horrible 5 years, and a lot of what we were doing is kind of the apologetics for real estate, reminding people that it was a cyclical business, reminding people to look at the fundamentals, which had finally started to really improve in 94 and 95. Back then, we were talking quite differently. The main new theme was securitization. The modern REIT era was really born in about 93, 94 with a couple of big IPOs of companies, and the creation really in the early 90s of the CMBS market to clear the backlog of both bad debt and too much debt sitting on bank balance sheets. Securitized debt was born. So the big theme was securitization. Another theme we grandly called globalization, because we were, as an industry, starting to move from one country to maybe 2 or 3 or 4. And we called that globalization, quite grandiose and not really reflecting where we are today, where LaSalle is investing in 30 or 34 countries and directly in at least 20 or 22 of them. I think that the other thing that was going on was just a growing realization that the word institutionalization was a good word, and that moving from a business that was more clubby and dominated by families or personalities or big names that were known in cities like London or New York City as being the biggest players, that it started to shift to a business that was much more about businesses, ongoing institutions, pension funds, life companies started to take more credit for the portfolios they were assembling, and the investment management industry started to become more professional. So the third trend we were really talking about was institutionalization, which, as I look back on it, really meant being professional, reporting, being honest, high integrity, not benefiting if your clients were losing money, and to align yourself with clients. So those were the three: globalization, securitization, institutionalization.
One of the other themes you talk about in the preface is this human tendency to latch on to recent trends and project them far into the future. I imagine you might have had a bit of that in 95 when people were seeing the very tough time that real estate had leading up to that. How do you think that tendency to project the recent trends far into the future is affecting the way that people are seeing the current investment environment for real estate?
And one of the things that I do like to remind people is don't look ahead just a few months or a year. Try to look out, if you can, 3 to 5 years. And it's not that anyone's got a perfect crystal ball to look out 3 or to 5 years, but that's why these importance of looking at these themes that are multi-year get really important. And it's why sort of sector selection and finding the real micro characteristics that endure. So it's not just macro themes all the time, but also the good old fashioned bones of a building, the tenants in the building, the location of a building, the micro characteristics that endure through a good cycle and a bad cycle.
Jacques, you said earlier that you had recently moved from Chicago to Boston. After 28 years at LaSalle, you're moving into a part-time role with LaSalle. Tell me about what comes next for you. Why'd you move to Boston?
Well, it's actually Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm looking out the window at the Charles River, and I've just joined the faculty at MIT, and they called me executive in residence for the months of November and December, and then January 1, I'll flip to becoming a lecturer and an adjunct faculty member working in the sustainability lab, as well as teaching a class on portfolio management and analytics. So I've already sort of gotten to know a lot of the faculty. I knew some of them before. I'm meeting more of them now. And it's really an exciting environment. They're doing a lot of work here on climate risk and on really the different ways that decarbonization can work physically and economically. It's really a very cool place.
Well, Jacques, thank you so much for not only writing and discussing the great preface to the ISA Outlook 2023, but of course also all of the legacy that you've left in what I think is one of the best research and strategy teams in the industry. I think it's the best, and I'm really honored to have the opportunity to have the torch passed to me. And I'm really looking forward to leveraging those insights that you're able to get in your new role at MIT for LaSalle and its clients. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.